Hello everyone and welcome. Today is a day trip in prep for a camping trip. When we did that last video where we were car camping a couple of weeks ago, we had paddled down the river and we found a spot we wanted to set up for camping. I'm out here today to clear a few branches, prep a little fire pit, and try and clear things up so that we can set up the two hammocks. Now, when I got here and I was about to start working, I noticed a couple of trappers' boxes, and I know there's a trapper down the road who has a camp. So I took a chance and I went down there, and they happened to be at camp. So I talked to him about it. They are his traps. He asked me to promise not to touch the traps. Try not to cut too many big trees, which I'm okay with. I wasn't planning on cutting big trees anyway. I want to clear a few branches out of here because they're dry. This is where I want to set the fire pit. I'm thinking I'm going to have a hammock behind these trees somewhere, and then another one over here, back there somewhere. First thing I want to do is get rid of a lot of these low-lying branches because I'm going to build the fire pit probably right here. And these are very dry. So I'm going to get as many of them out of the way as I can for safety's sake. I want the fire pit done first because I'm not camping here tonight, but I'm probably staying for supper. And I need a safe area to either A, build a fire, or B, I've got a stove with me. I can always have a fire in the stove, but I still need a safe place. I don't want this to catch fire. I want to camp here, not burn it down. All right, let's get some of these branches. I brought along my folding shovel. It's not huge, but it'll do the trick. Now, I cleared a lot of the branches, and I already broke them up and leaned them up against a tree. No sense wasting the firewood. There's a piece of broken tree that's laying here. I'm eventually going to chop that up. I might not get to it today. We'll see. But right now, I want this fire pit going right about here. So I want to clear away some of this fluff. Camping's a lot of work. Now I want to make the pit a little bit bigger than what it needs to be, just to create a little buffer zone. Less chance of this fire spreading. Now I brought my Dollarama buckets, and the road is all gravel. So I'm going to go up there and see if I can gather up a little bit of loose stuff, and I'll put a little bed of gravel here just to help protect it a little more. The gravel on the road is pretty tight, but this is all sand and gravel. Okay, let's get these 2 buckets back to camp. Once again, the dollar rabbit buckets prove useful. So there's 2 buckets. I think I'm going to grab at least a couple more just to give me a good base and protect the ground from whatever fire we're going to have. So I've got about 4 buckets of gravel spread out there, and in the trail on the way in there was a bunch of loose rocks. Anything that looked like it might be a tripping hazard I picked up and brought here. So now I have my fire pit set up with a good little buffer around it. Now, before I light anything, I will be filling my buckets with water. And that way, I know if something happens, I've got water on hand. I don't have to wait till I race down to the river and get some. I mean, the river's right there. It's not going to be a long race, but I'd rather have it up here and be safe than not have it up here and worry about it. So I've been down and I got 2 buckets of water. What I want to do is just give this a good soak. In the hopes that that'll pack the gravel in a little tighter. What's the worst that's going to happen? It'll protect the fire pit better. What else might happen? I could be wrong and it could do absolutely nothing, but it's not going to hurt anything. If it does pack it a little tighter, all the better. Okay, so that job's done. Well, that's not bad. I'm going to go get a couple more buckets of water. And I'll just leave them here so that if I have a little fire later to cook supper, I'll have water to put it out with. While I was clearing the branches, these two broke off at a beautiful length, and they're just the right distance apart. I now have two hanging buckets of water, and I'm right next to the fire pit. So if I need them, they're right there. So this is where I want to put one of the hammocks. There's a tree right behind the camera, which is perfect. And then there's this tree, which would be terrific. But all these low-hanging branches are dead. The top of the tree is live. It's great. But everything up to about here, it's dead. So if I clear this out, it'll give us a good spot to tie the hammock. And it'll help the tree, because now it's not going to be trying to put water into dead limbs. And as an added bonus, it adds to my firewood. So now, from this tree here down to this tree here, it's another great spot for a hammock. I just have to knock off a couple of branches from here. And then with the hammock hanging here, because they're in a point, I should be able to tie to both of these trees, and it'll be just enough for one person in here. And it's still early, so it looks like I've got time to cut some firewood. So here is that big downed branch I said was right next to where I wanted to put the fire pit. But now that I've got the fire pit done and both spots ready for the hammocks, if I'm going to cut firewood, I may as well start with this because it's in the way. And then there's a dead tree right over there. There's another one I spotted earlier. Ah, right there. So it looks like I'm going to have an afternoon of cutting firewood, which is great, because that means when we come camping out here, I'm already going to have a little stash, which means I can throw the canoe in the water and do some fishing. Now this is perfect. It's standing up, stuck in this tree, no bark on it, so the water just runs right off. So it'll be nice and dry. And it was just standing there. Okay, the road is right behind me. Let's go on a little tour. I'm gonna walk down this little trail. Right here to my right, from this tree to this tree, those are going to be centered because one hammock is going to be coming straight through from this tree over to that tree. If we keep walking around, here's our wonderful little fire pit. Set up, ready to be lit. I doused 3 buckets of water on the fire pit and around the fire pit. Soaked everything. And then I let it sit in the sun for a little while. And then I prepped the wood. Here's the brush pile from all the branches and everything that I cut. Here's my little wood pile. So after I burn a little bit for supper tonight, I believe there's going to be enough left for at least one night when we come back and camp. And then we go this way, down this little trail. And we've got an area here from this big tree to this big tree. And that's where we have another setup for another hammock. Now it's a pretty brushy area, so the views are kind of blocked a little bit. But it's still a beautiful area. And if I come and walk out, this is right here. I'm standing on the fire pit almost. So through the brush there, you see a little bit. And then if I walk down here, I believe that this right here will be a great spot to launch the canoe. And then we can head back down that way, down the river, and go do some fishing. So there's lots of small branches around, and there's tons of this old man's beard hanging all over from the trees. So I'm going to gather some of that up and use that in conjunction with some twigs to get the fire going. So I've gathered a healthy little ball of that old man's beard. There's plenty of twigs here. I'm going to stuff that in here. I'll get my flint and steel kit. Take out a piece of charred cloth. Tear it to make more fibers. Get it on a sharp part of the stone. There we go. Now, we'll place that in with the old man's beard. One of the nice things about this spot is the car's right up the hill. So I was able to bring the cooler along today. Which means a nice cold pop. While I'm waiting for this to die down so I can cook my dinner. Now, I mentioned in the beginning of the video that I saw the traps and I went to talk to the trapper down the road. A few years back, interesting story. Before I started this YouTube channel, Ann and I were out here camping way down this road. And I was lucky enough, I had the Monday off. It wasn't a long weekend, but I had the Monday off. So we came out for a long weekend. We spent the weekend. We had a blast. We did a bit of fishing. We had fires. It was great. Monday morning, I get up. I open the back hatch of the car. I slowly start packing, but I leave the hatch open, not thinking that there's a small light there that stays on. So the hatch stayed open all morning long. I was slowly packing and putting things away. Anne got up. We had coffee. We had breakfast. I continued packing, leaving the hatch open all morning long. Then when we went to leave, push the button, click, car won't start. Well, that's okay, I said. Just down the road, there's a trapper's cabin. Not far from that, there's another camper. And down at the corner, there's always campers down at the corner. Always. So we each grabbed a water bottle. It's going to be a short walk. Let's go. Not thinking that it's not a holiday Monday. It's a regular Monday, and most people are at work. Get to the trapper's cabin. Nobody there. Keep walking down the trail. Get to the next trailer. Nobody there. Keep going down the road. It's 32 or 34 degrees Celsius that day. And it just happened to be at the right time of day where the sun was right down the middle of the road. So we couldn't get in the shade anywhere. So we were walking in the heat, in the sun. 8 kilometers before we finally got somebody that was driving down the road that stopped to give us a hand. Turns out it was that trapper. He was on his way to the cabin to go and reshingle the roof. So we dropped the trailer off at the cabin. And he came out and gave me a boost, and I was able to get out safely. Of course, on the way home, I stopped and bought myself a booster pack right away because I didn't want that happening again. That's why when I saw these boxes, I knew it's close to his trapper's cabin. They've got to be his. So out of respect for them, they helped me out, so I went to talk to them. Sure enough, as we're talking, he realized who I was. He actually remembered me. So he gave me the okay not to worry about it. All he asked was, do not leave garbage behind. Be very careful with your fire. And don't cut down anything big. Small dead trees are fine, just don't cut anything big. And I said, well, small dead trees is what I usually cut anyway. That's how we met him. What a day that was. Oh my God, we were so hot. Lesson learned. Now, if we have to hike, even if I know it's going to be a short hike, I make sure I bring a lot of water. No more of this one bottle each thing. I brought just my flimsy little Coghlans folding grill. Because today's dinner is going to be quick and simple. I brought Johnsonville cheddar cheese sausages. They're smoked, they're pre-cooked. So it's just a matter of warming them up. Now, I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but we were having a little problem here in Canada yesterday. Rogers cell service was down, and that somehow affected internet service in a few places, and none of the bank machines in any of the stores were working. So if you went to the store, you had to have cash. Of course, by the time I get home from work, the banks are closed. There's no way for me to go get cash. So when I was packing to leave, we are having sausages with Wonder Bread buns. The all around, it's a hamburger bun, it's a hot dog bun, it's a piece of bread for a sandwich. So I'm going to warm these up. And then we'll have a couple of sausages for supper. So here's our beautiful sausage bun. They look so delicious. I brought a squeeze bottle of mayo, some mustard, and I know they're cheese-filled sausages, but you can never have too much cheese. Roll these over this way where there's a little bit less heat. That one's bursting. Now isn't that the perfect sausage? Mmm. Mmm. Yes, it is. So here's one of those trapper's boxes I was talking about. There's nothing in it but spider webs at the moment, but he will be using it in the fall. Nice thing about that grill is it's nice and thin. So once you pull it off the fire, it only takes a few short minutes and it's cooled down and ready to pack up. And then put this out. Yeah, that's good and flooded. That's not going anywhere. But just to be safe, I'll probably grab 2 more buckets and really flood it. Soak everything around it. Now the fire pit is a swimming pool. I know that's not going anywhere. That's perfectly safe. But that's going to be it for today. I'm glad I was able to get everything set up and ready. That's going to be fantastic. And we have enough firewood for at least the first night. And there's plenty of dead trees around. It won't take me long to cut up a bit more firewood if we need it. So next time we come out, we'll be camping, fishing, hopefully catching. But once again, it's always a pleasure having you along. Thanks for joining me on this adventure. If you like what you saw, go ahead and hit the like button. If you want to see more of it, hit the subscribe button. And we'll see you on the next one.